I'm Eric.
And I'm Ash.
And this is The Hash.
With Eric and Ash. Ooh, back on the mic.
Yeah, here we go. What is up, everyone?
We took a bit of a break.
A hiatus, if you will.
Yes, but we're back and excited.
Excited is an understatement. We are hype. But yeah, I think the last time we recorded one was before we went to Hawaii way back in March. It's now June.
Life got a little crazy.
And I feel like it's like everything, right? Like, it's kind of consistency, it's routine. We were in the routine of doing it then, and then we kind of fell out, and you stopped going to the gym, you stopped doing, stop eating the way you should. It's easy to fall out of the routine. But here we are, back in the saddle.
Back in action. And what are we talking about today, babe?
Today we are talking all about the power of planning.
This is like my favorite thing ever. I love planning, and you just have so many cool tools and stuff. So we're going to talk about planning and kind of fat loss, the science behind planning, how to actually plan and steps to effectively do it, some common challenges, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So, as cheesy as it sounds, right? A failure to plan is a plan for failure.
True.
But it's really the truth. And a favorite saying of my dad's as I was growing up, probably still a favorite saying of his now, is the 7 P's.
Oh, I don't even remember what it is. I was going to steal this from you. Damn it. I forgot.
Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And it couldn't be more true when, talking about health, fitness, fat loss, building muscle, getting jacked, looking lean.
Yeah.
Becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Truth. Preach. So just kind of talk about why it's important. If you just wake up and you hope you're going to reach your fat loss goals, and you just kind of go into the day and are like, okay, yeah, I hope I make it to the gym, but you don't actually plan out time for it, you're not going to get it done. And so that's why it's so important to actually plan and allocate time to do the things that you need to do to reach your fat loss goals. If you don't, you're just setting yourself up from failure.
Yeah. And, it might sound ridiculous to make this comparison, but like you wouldn't march into battle or war without a plan. And while we're not doing either of those things here, you wouldn't approach something serious like that without a game plan. Or, like a slightly less ridiculous comparison would be like, okay, cool, I want to build a house. I'm just going to start putting some boards together, maybe a little concrete here, maybe a little plumbing there, and hopefully I have a place to live someday. No, it's a big chunk of planning before even that first, scoop of dirt is dug.
And honestly, planning doesn't take that much time. Like maybe once you're starting to get used to it, we'll kind of go over a framework of how to actually plan and how I help my clients plan. But once you get used to it, it probably takes 10-15 minutes. And those 10 to 15 minutes save me so much time during the actual week. If I don't plan, I don't get anything done. Like,
not to mention the stress and anxiety that you just feel
when you're like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah, and when you do plan, right, it's just like you have a set of step-by-step instructions that you just have to execute.
Instead of like...
just hoping that what you're doing is going to eventually get you there.
Exactly. So. And just kind of talking about planning specifically for fat loss, planning your meals is so important. Because if you go into the day and you're like, okay, I don't know what I feel like. And even, this is kind of where I feel like people are like, I don't know what I want to eat on Wednesday or Thursday. And I was kind of like this too. Mm-hmm. But even if you give yourself a little bit of an outline, it just takes away that anxiety of like, oh my God, it's lunchtime. What am I going to eat? I don't have anything planned.
Right.
Instead of like, cool, on every morning, I'm going to have a smoothie for breakfast. Every day for lunch, I'm either going to have a sandwich or a salad. Like, again, just like planning it out so you're not getting to that time of day where you're scrambling to be like, oh my God, I have nothing to eat. And then you grab something a little less nutrient dense than you would have wanted to.
Yeah. And like you can make a plan and like it doesn't have to be like detailed out to the last crouton. Like it can be kind of
blueprint
vague.
Outline. Yeah.
And then also too, if like it's like, okay, you know, Wednesday's lunch didn't look great, maybe I'll swap that for Thursday. Or like another idea that Matt McLeod, he's another online coach, registered dietitian, puts out some great stuff, Responsible Delinquent. He talks about like Monday through Friday having the same breakfast and lunch. Now that might not work for everyone, but I think it's a pretty good strategy. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of know what you're going to have. You don't have to really think about it. And, you know, if you do it right and you kind of plan correctly for those 2 meals, you can allow yourself maybe a little bit more indulgent of a dinner or something like that.
No, I love that. I mean, that's 2/3 of your meals. Yeah. So if you can have those on lock,
you're good.
Yeah, you're golden.
Like that alone would be a huge benefit instead of just winging the whole day.
Yeah. Yeah, like for us, since we work from home, it's like we have an idea of what we're going to eat. And it's not like we have every single meal planned out, but before we go to the store, we're like, okay, what meals do we want to make this week? We probably could do a better job of that, but since at the phase that we're kind of at in our journeys right now, we don't need as much planning because it's kind of like habitual at this point, but we always at least mentally plan a little bit. But depending on where you're at in your journey, you might have to plan a lot more. And yeah, maybe it's not the most fun and exciting, but if you really want to get to your dream body or whatever goal that you have, planning is the way to get there.
Totally.
And then I was going to talk, do you have anything about like the nutrition, planning your meals kind of thing?
No, I kind of have more just like some general weekly stuff.
Okay. I was going to talk about another like planning tip for fat loss is planning your workouts. I feel like people, again, kind of just are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go after work or I'm going to go in the morning. It's like, okay, what time are you going to go? How long are you going to go for? Are you actually allocating the right amount of time for yourself to actually drive to the gym or like wake up, change, drive to the gym? Because a lot of times people are like, yeah, I'm just going to go in the morning. And they wake up even 10 minutes late, throws off their whole routine. So it's like scheduling and allocating the amount of time. And look, you don't have to go to the gym for an hour. Maybe you're giving yourself 30 minutes to do a workout. That's okay. But like planning that into your actual schedule and calendar so you actually make it happen as opposed to just hoping it happens.
Love it.
Yeah.
Did you have anything on like the science behind planning? You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Before we get into steps for effective? Yeah. Okay.
A couple things on the science behind planning. You know, I feel like a lot of people wait for motivation to kind of get them to plan or get them to go to the gym or get them to work out, but discipline over motivation, habits over motivation. If you can plan out exactly what habits you're going to do, you're so much more likely to do them than just hoping it's going to happen. The planning process also involves decision making. And again, if you're going into it without a plan, you are so much less likely to choose the one that you would have hoped you wanted to, because if you go into it, you're panicked, you're like, oh my gosh, like there's so many options, and it takes away that decision making when you already have a plan for it. It also allows us to think in the future. It's so important to, again, like if you have a goal, you can't just hope it's going to happen. You have to plan. So looking into the future is so important. And I think I could go on a tangent on this, but I'm not going to. Having an idea of who you want to be is how you can get yourself to actually do the habits of that future self, which again, I won't go into that. It also just really helps clear up anxiety. Again, that decision-making process. We as humans have to make so many decisions every single day. And when it comes to the big ones like food and like the things that you have to do every single day, it's just going to release so much anxiety if you already have that decision made ahead of time. Especially it's like food. You have to do that every single day. Mm-hmm. Working out or moving your body. Hopefully you're doing that every single day. But yeah, just really making it easy on yourself and setting yourself up for success. And reducing that anxiety. Like, again, life has so many decisions already. So if you can reduce your anxiety as much as possible, planning is going to help you so much. Yeah.
Preach. Love it. Next, I think we're just gonna talk kind of just like our own steps to effective planning. So I thought the most practical way to talk about this and like the most beneficial way to the listeners and the viewers would be to just kind of like talk about how to plan your week, right? So kind of there's like what do I have here, like more or less a 3-tiered process here. So when you're looking at your calendar, you're looking at the week, you gotta start with what I'm calling here the unavoidable. So we're talking about work and commuting, sleep. Plug that stuff into your calendar already, and that stuff right there, that's already 16 plus hours of your 24-hour day. So getting realistic with yourself and putting that stuff on paper is going to be helpful. And then that's going to show you like what time slots you have left available for whatever else it is you need to get done. So that's the first step is putting in the unavoidable, right? So work, commute, sleep, any other obligations you have coming up that week. Next, I would encourage you to add in the fun stuff, right? Whether that be date night, whether that be the barbecue you have planned, whether that's a hike, a trip, going to the beach, whatever, right? Put that in there. And then this way, you're actively planning in the fun stuff that, makes life worth living, because losing fat, getting lean, getting jacked, that's all great, right? But if that is all you ever do, right, it's not going to be...
And you're not going to stick with it that way because you're going to get bored.
Right. So... And then once you have that in there, right, you can see exactly how much time you have left for your fitness goals. A realistic look at what you have left. And so now we're into that third tier, right, looking at the actual fitness goals themselves. So by now, your calendar, your week's probably looking pretty full, right? But there will be slots of open time in there where you have no excuse to get your shit done because you've already planned out all the life stuff that's going to come up. So it's a good look at like what's really there. So next I would start by plugging in your workouts, right? Figure out what days you're going to do your lifting or cardio sessions, as those are probably going to be the most time consuming activities of the fitness goals. And then next, looking at your nutrition stuff, right? So when it comes to nutrition, weight loss or any fitness goal, there's a lot of different approaches you could take, right? You could eat out for every single meal, right? But that's probably going to be tricky to, actually hit the nutrition goals that you're going to need to lose weight or whatnot. And it's also going to probably be pretty expensive. You could find a meal prep delivery service, right, that fits your needs and goals. This is going to save you a ton of time, especially if that calendar is looking full. But again, the trade-off is that's going to be pretty pricey. So for most of you, cooking your own meals at home is going to be your best bet to, reaching the nutrition side of your goals here. And then when it comes to planning that stuff, you want to think about the time it takes to do the shopping, the cooking, and the cleaning, and start adding that stuff into your calendar. And if your calendar is looking pretty jam-packed, right, this is where things like meal prepping can be really helpful, so you don't have to cook and clean every day or every meal. You can kind of, batch a lot of that out, and so you're ready to go. And so that's kind of like a quick and dirty look at planning a week's worth of life.
Love it. Yeah, mine is kind of similar, especially with my clients. I do this myself, but a little bit differently. But first, I have them make out a list of everything you need to get done that week. Whether that's obviously work is important, how much time that's going to take you. Maybe you have to drop the kids off at school. So writing that out, how much time that's going to take you. So writing out a full list of everything you need to get done, as well as the time it takes to get it done. And being so realistic with that, because so many times people forget, they're like, I'm going to go to work until 5 p.m. And then from 5 to 6, I'm going to be at the gym. And it's like, wait, Well, if you're going straight from work, you're going to have to drive there. You're going to have to change your clothes. So maybe leaving a 30-minute window in between there. So just being so realistic with your time is so important. And then what you're going to do is prioritize each item. So obviously, like, work is probably going to be pretty close to the top. And, you know, maybe like meal prepping, maybe that's number 3 or 4, whatever it may be, but listing every single one. And then whatever that order is, you're going to start with number 1. Okay, work. Plugging that into Google Calendar. Google Calendar is an amazing tool. It's free. It's easy to kind of time block like that. But you're going to go in order and start filling out your, whoa. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Just filling out your calendar. And then again, I think adding the fun stuff is important too. But I think it's kind of like where you're at in your journey. Maybe a fun night out with the girls. If you're doing that every single week, maybe it's time to kind of take a look at your priorities and be like, okay, if you actually have this goal, maybe do that every other week instead of every week, just so you can reach your goals. Like, again, it's all about where you're at in your journey. But, and then, yeah, plugging it into something like Google Calendar, because that's how you're actually going to, one, it's a great visual for yourself. You can move things around if you need to. But just having a clear set plan for yourself. And what I do too is, like, I think it's easier on a weekly basis to do it. Like, if you plan your day ahead, it's like, I guess that will work, but I feel like looking at it from a weekly basis, like, hopefully you only have to grocery shop one time. Maybe meal prep most of your meals, like allocating time to that. So again, just being like so realistic with yourself, so you know you actually get things done, instead of like, hopefully I'm gonna meal prep this week, or hopefully I'm gonna make it to the gym. It's like, no, you gotta set an allocated amount of time to make sure you allow yourself to let that happen. And yeah, just especially with the time it takes to get something done, be generous. If you think it's gonna take 30 minutes, it's probably gonna take longer than that.
Yeah, no, and kind of rolling into, you know, like common challenges or pitfalls. Yeah, I think that's my first thing that I have here. Like, in my experience, like, tasks take, at least me, about twice as long as I typically expect. But cool, I'm gonna go to the store, I'm gonna go drop this off, I'll be back in like an hour. And it's like, no, it's gonna take you 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah,
you know, you gotta park, you gotta walk there, you gotta do the thing, all that on the way back, right, as well as the actual cooking or whatever. So yeah, when you're first starting out with this, you know, if you think, you had a good example of like getting off work at 5 and then maybe at the gym 5 to 6. Like, no, you're not. Like, say you're gonna get to the gym at 6, right?
Yeah.
And plan for a 6 to 7 workout. So yeah, that's the first thing I feel like, is just underestimating time.
Yeah, for sure.
And how long things actually take.
I have a good one that kind of goes along with that. Social media. I think that social media is the biggest time suck. And even like doing something, I know so many people multitask. They're like doing something while watching social media, when I'm like, you can get it done in half the time if you just do the actual thing instead of like watching something. Like, instead of maybe, and again, I'm not trying to make life boring, but like maybe put on a podcast while you're getting ready or something like that, instead of like watching something, because you're gonna go twice as slow where you're kind of like trying to watch something and like do it. And again, we waste so much time on social media. Like, if you are like, I have no time to plan, I have no time to get all this stuff done, just look at your analytics and see how much time you're actually on social media. And if you're on it for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a week, think about how many...
Or a day.
Yeah, or a day. Like, you can get so much done. So, like, yeah, just really looking at your social media time. And if you're making the excuse that you don't have the time, please look at that and then...
reassess.
Yeah.
I feel like another thing too is like, especially, you know, maybe you're just starting out on your journey, or maybe you just set some new goals and you're all fired up, motivation's high, you're ready to fucking kick ass and take names. And so you're like, cool, I'm gonna go to the gym every day, I'm gonna do my cardio, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And you just end up planning too much. And, you know, day one, you're like, oh man, I had 3 things left on my to-do list. And then day rolls over, you still don't get to those things, then you have 2 more things, so now you're 5 things behind. So I think you know, it's better to just put a little bit on your plate and feel accomplished, and then add to that as, that amount of new tasks and things become your norm, and then, just to avoid overloading yourself and feeling like a failure.
Yeah, definitely start small. And as you start to build trust with yourself, it'll get easier and easier. But what happens when, like what Eric said, you put too much on your plate and you're like, oh, I still had 3 more things to do. You just start to look at yourself as like, oh, I can't accomplish things that I put my mind to. But in reality, you're just setting yourself up for failure by putting too much on your plate. We do this all the time, to be honest. Like, we show each other our to-do list for the day, and I'm like, we're not going to get this done in the back of my mind, but I'm like, oh, maybe if I really focus, and it's like, no, it's not going to happen. So that's a really good one. I was going to say too, like, I feel like people struggle with lack of motivation, and people ask all the time, like, how do you get motivated? Like, what do I do to stay motivated? I'm like, you don't. Yeah. You don't stay motivated. You rely on your habits and your routines to get you through. And something from Atomic Habits, kind of going into like a strategy for this, is like never miss more than once. And I really like this because it said if you miss once, like fine, whatever. But if you miss 2 times in a row, you're starting to build that new habit of not doing it. Even if you are not feeling the gym, you're exhausted. And again, there's levels to this, obviously. Right. But getting yourself to go, and maybe you can't do all 5, 6 exercises. But if you can do 3, you're at least still getting yourself and building that habit of going to the gym rather than just
blowing it off.
Yeah. Just kind of like giving up on nothing. Exactly. And not being perfect with your habits. I think so often we get in our heads that like, oh, we have to go to the gym and have this perfect workout. It's like, no, you can go and do 2 exercises, walk on the treadmill if that's all you have the energy for, but at least you're getting there. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, plan your shit.
Plan your shit. No, seriously, it's life-changing. And again, I know it can feel tedious and waste of time, but like you'll just be amazed once you actually plan your week and then see how much time you actually save during the week because of the like 10-15 minutes you actually took to plan it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
So yeah, I mean, last thing, like you said, Google Calendar is a great option.
Notion
is good for like, I don't know, like grocery lists, or you can even like plan out tasks and stuff in there. Another Google Calendar hack that I've seen a couple times on the social medias is where like you can create a new calendar. So it's not like your normal calendar. It's just kind of like a ghost calendar, and you can like plan out your ideal week.
I have like a weekly outline that I use for that.
And then you can like set repeating tasks and stuff. And then you can turn them both on and kind of see like the real versus the ideal, and make adjustments as necessary. So that's a good little hack there.
Yeah, love it.
But yeah, get out there, plan some stuff. Expect it to take twice as long as it's gonna. Put a little bit on your plate and build off that and watch your life change.
Yeah.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for joining us. We're back in action. We're excited.
Back on the grind.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See ya.